Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Refuge Church podcast. We are doing another staff highlight episode where we get a window into the look of a life of one of our staff members. And today, I'm very happy to be joined by our young adults pastor, Miss Kaytie Castanon. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, David?
I'm doing great. You are no stranger to these microphones.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, she records off and on different things. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. It's been a great day, other than it being so cold.
But at the time of this recording, it is in the dead of the cold snap of February. So, yeah, you're not liking this very much.
Not at all. I was born for summer heat, and it is way too cold.
Well, we already know one of her answers for the lightning round then, ladies and gentlemen. So, oh, man, I'm glad to have you. So, at the time of this recording, you've been on staff how long?
A little over a year.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride.
It definitely has.
Because when I first got here in the beginning of 2023, you were on my team here at West.
I was.
And so I got to basically have you as an intern, and now to see you blossom into this staff member who's working every single week, it's really cool.
It's been super cool. It's been such a journey. Mm-hmm. So many things have happened since the beginning of it. But
in just 2 years' time, it's been a whirlwind for you.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So let's take it step by step through, and let's start where every good story begins, and that's at the beginning. Kaytie, where were you born?
I was born here in Jonesboro. I was born here and then grew up about 45 minutes from here in a small town called Leachville.
Okay. Well, and what was your childhood like growing up?
It was pretty great. I didn't really know any different. Everything was kind of the same for everybody around there. Mm-hmm. I had two parents. I had a bunch of grandparents, and we'd go to church on Sunday mornings. And we lived in it's a farming community. So we played outside until it went dark, and then when it got dark, we came inside. Super simple, very, I don't like to say monotonous, but very, every day was kind of the same.
Routine?
Yeah, routine, yeah.
Okay. And you said we, so siblings?
Yes, I have a sister who is 6.5 years younger than me, and then I have two step siblings, and their ages I'm not super great at, but I'm the oldest.
What, were you basically classic big sister, or were you second mom?
It depended on the day. For my sister, from the beginning of time, she called me Miss Mommy. So it was kind of both.
Gotcha. You also said go to church. So how active was your family with church?
So my grandparents went every Sunday and Wednesday, and they brought us on Sunday mornings. And
what denomination?
It was AG.
Okay.
It's a small AG church. The pastors at the time actually currently came here. And before my mom was pregnant with me, he had a dream of my grandma bringing a little girl with brown pigtails to church. And he told her about it, and she was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And voila, who what else to come?
Wow.
And I actually was born on his birthday, so it was super special. But definitely, God's timing is greater than everybody else's. So,
was your family pretty active, or was it kind of a hit or miss thing?
It was more of through the motions. Everybody in a small town like that, everybody believes in Jesus, but nobody really follows it through. And so you don't really know the difference when you're that young. You just kind of follow what everybody else is doing, and that's kind of what it was for me.
So, at what point in the process did it become more than just attendance? Did you ever start asking questions as a kid, or wanting to know more?
I'd like to say I was more curious as a kid, but I wasn't. When I was 6 years old, I saw everybody go to the altar and get saved, and I didn't want to be left by myself, so I went too.
Yep.
And
we gotta love peer pressure altar calls.
Loved it. And at 6 years old, you don't really understand completely what you're doing at that point. But I got saved, and I was baptized shortly after, and I was just like, oh, I'm good. Everything's great. When I was 10 or 11, I went to a church camp. We had stopped going to this AG church, and we went to a Baptist church instead. And we went to summer camp with them. And one of the nights they were talking about, you really need to give your life to Jesus, and being super convicting. And I was like, I don't know that I've done that. It didn't make a difference when I was 6. And so I rededicated myself, got baptized again, and was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. And all of the things that I understood and that made the most sense to me were the rules and the laws, and you have to be like this, and you have to do it this way, and you kind of getting caught up in the religion of all of it.
Right.
Instead of it being a relationship with Jesus. And it was super confusing and nothing made sense. And I was like, well, if I'm going to screw it up, I might as well just screw it up completely.
Wow.
And so I just kind of did my own thing for a long time from, I would say probably around 13. And then you're like, yeah, you believe in the Lord. You're like, yeah, I know God is God and I know he's there. But it was a back burner relationship instead of he's my whole world and he's everything to me.
Right.
And so it was just kind of super wishy-washy.
How did your parents react to that?
I hid it well. I was really good at hiding like how I felt. And I'm really bad. Well, not currently. I'm a lot better at it. But in the past, I was really bad at just letting people see what I wanted them to see. And so I wanted my mom to see somebody that was doing their best.
Right.
Trying as hard as she could, keeping everybody as stable as possible, and just pushing past that. So I didn't really, if it bothered me, I didn't let anybody else know.
Wow.
So,
okay. So were you just not going at all? Did you still go and just not talk about it?
Every Sunday, after I believe I was 15 when we went back to the AG church.
Okay.
We started just going, and instead of being in service on Sunday mornings, I would help with children's church. And so I did the little lessons and the puppets and the crafts and the stuff, and being able to separate myself as like, oh, I'm just teaching. I don't have to really.
Right.
If I'm teaching, then it's good enough.
I'm just telling stories.
Yes. I'm just telling stories. I'm doing good enough for everybody else. Everybody's happy. I'm doing something for the Lord, so it's fine. And I just kind of brushed it off as that. And then I left for college in 2016. I moved 3.5 hours away, and I couldn't do anything any other way. So I had to restart everything.
Wow.
I knew that I still wanted to go to church. And so I started going to Russellville First Assembly. And at the time, Brother Ronnie Morris was the pastor of that church. And
He was our district superintendent,
yes.
for those who may not know.
And I had never been to something, like it just changed my view of everything. And from the time I sat down from the first service, I ugly sobbed until that service ended. And this little lady, I've never seen her again. Never. I don't even know. I'm convinced she was an angel.
Wow.
But she just sat there and patted my back, and she's like, I'm so glad you came today. And you're supposed to be here. And I just cried. And so at that point, everything I knew, thrown in the dumpster. And now I'm starting completely fresh.
Wow.
And didn't really understand any of it. None of it made sense. When I was growing up, the Spirit wasn't something that we really talked about. Everybody would just be like, oh, well, the Spirit moved in service. I'd be like, oh, I guess he did. I don't know the difference. And so when it started becoming real, I was like, I don't know how much I trust this. I don't know how much I don't know how this relationship is supposed to work, because all I've ever known is judge the Lord instead of the Lord, my God, and my Father.
Right.
And so it was completely confusing. I did that for 4 years, graduated, came back home, and it was in the middle of COVID and I went crazy.
Okay.
Everything that I ever believed in the beginning, I just kind of pushed it all back and just did whatever I wanted to do. I didn't listen to anybody. You couldn't tell me any different. I knew what I was going to do. I was a master manipulator. I just wanted what I wanted, and that was it. And I moved out, lived by myself, and was just like, no, this is the road I'm going to live on. I'm independent. I don't need anybody else. I can do this myself.
Okay.
And then I think it was either late December of 2020 or early January of 2021. I was laying in my bedroom floor, just losing my mind. I was angry, frustrated. Nothing was going the way that I ever expected it to. And I said, okay, all right, Lord, we're meeting again. If this is for real, and if this is actually what you're wanting me to do, if you want my life, you can have it. I'm done. This whole thing that I'm trying to do, it's not working.
You're how old now? At the time?
22.
Okay.
I think 22.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. If you want it, you've got it. Otherwise, I'm done. And don't let me wake back up. Let me sleep, and I'm done. I'm just over it.
Wow.
I want to go to sleep, never exist anymore. I'm so done. And then I woke up the next day. And I was like, okay, all right, that's it. And so just dove in head first from there.
No rationalization, no anything. You just took it at his word on faith. Mm-hmm. See, that's interesting to me because that's something I've always loved about you is that you don't have to take much to be convinced about something. Your faith is very strong. And where does that come from? Because I know a lot of conversations we had when you were here with me at Weekly was in the subject of your father. And I don't want to make you go down anything painful unless you want to, but a lot of probably what people view when it comes to God the Father is a reflection of the relationship they had with their earthly father. Did that stem anything in terms of how you went back and forth with your faith or back and forth in your relationship with God?
So I had a wonderful dad. My dad was fantastic, and I had him up till I was 9 years old. And he tragically passed away in a car accident. And even at a young age, I never blamed God. I was never angry at God. And it wasn't like, well, you shouldn't believe that way. It's okay that, no, it was never anything like that. It was always, no, God didn't do this. The enemy has always had a plan. Like I've always been aware of that.
Right.
I'd love to tell you that it's a certain thing. It's just me. I don't know. I don't have a specific answer. I've always known that God is good. I've only ever seen the judge part of him, but I never connected my dad and God the Father as the same or as their relationships were equal when I was young.
Okay.
It didn't make sense to me.
Where do you think the judge came from?
Oh, absolutely. It's all from like, I've suffered a lot of rejection. I'm free from it now, praise God. But from the very earliest of ages, rejection. I'm a product of two parents that were never married, which is, it is what it is. And I was a teen pregnancy. So everything that is expected when you're supposed to have a baby was completely different when my mom was pregnant with me.
So in the natural sense, nothing about your life was planned.
Oh, no. No.
Understood.
But, when the Lord gives you something and he is leading you in a certain direction, you have nothing but to hold on to that word. And so in all things, I just try to remember, if he is speaking and if he is moving, and he always is, that I have to hold on to that. I have to hold on to that word.
Because whether or not your parents had a plan, he did.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if he had a plan, why would he be judgmental of his plan?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all in the self.
It's all in the self.
All in the self.
That's good. That's good. So in the process of all of that, what immediately happened? What was the ripple effect when you woke up that morning?
I was kind of confused. I didn't really know what to do. I was like, okay. So I'd already been coming to Refuge at that point. I had previously been in a relationship, and I was trying to do everything in my power to have the perfect Southern life. You go to church on Sundays, you have the little kids, you have the farmhouse aesthetic in your house. And I was just completely, just convinced that this was this perfect life and that's all I've ever wanted.
You wanted to be a 40s soccer mom at age 22?
I sure did. I didn't know any different. I wanted the stability.
Gotcha.
And, coming from a young age where everything was so topsy-turvy, all I ever craved was stability.
Yeah.
And so that's just what I wanted. And when he and I were still together, we had found Refuge. And after the breakup, I got to keep the church and he got to do whatever. But I got that in the breakup.
Did you get that in writing?
It's mine.
Gotcha.
And I just stayed and just kept trying because I don't know. There was just something about it. Every time that I walked through the doors, something in my heart was like, no, you need to stay. No, there's something special here. You need to stay. Wow. And so I'm not going to say I'm a master at it, but I'm pretty heavy on the art of staying.
Yep. You're also one of the handful of girls at Refuge that Pastor Matt and Erica consider a daughter.
Yes.
Talk about how that happened.
So I remember when we first started coming to Refuge, I was like, I want to have relationships here. I don't want this to just be, we come in on Sunday mornings, talk to no one and leave, because that's what I grew up with. There was no real deep relationship. And I crave deep relationships. That's every friendship that I have has some semblance of a depth to it. There has to be some kind of intimacy in relationships for it to make sense in my mind. And so I was like, I'm going to make it a point to go talk to them, hug them, speak to them, something.
Right.
And so every Sunday morning before church would start, when he would walk in on that front row, I would run up there and I'd hug him real fast and I'd run back to my pew. And then I just was consistent about that. And then there'd be times where we'd be waiting at the end of service and we'd just be talking, and that just was it. And I remember when I got on lead team in 2021. Yes, lead team in 2021. I got on his rotation and we sat down. It was my first meeting. I'm super excited. I don't really know what to expect. And he just says, all right, this is where the daughterhood really begins. You're fixing to learn a lot. Are you ready? And I was like, absolutely, I'm ready. And so that was it from there on.
Wow. And how did that change maybe a lot of your perspective on that word father, and especially when it came to your relationship with God?
So even in the rejection process against myself, I rejected anybody that wanted to parent me a lot. And so I was awful to my stepdad, terrible to him. We have a great relationship now, but in the beginning, I mean, it was awful. I didn't want any part of him. I was like, no, you're not my dad and you won't be my dad. Do something else. And so God had to work a lot on me through other methods for me to come back and be like, okay, I'm so sorry that I did that to you.
Wow.
And really, in a repentance kind of way, just completely 180 my view of all of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of it.
Gotcha. So you graduate from lead team 2022. At that point, the West Campus is becoming an idea in the summer of that time.
In the summer, yes.
Because I mean, I enjoyed you for the time I had you here before God called you to take on this new role on the staff. So talk about just that initial next step. Once you graduate lead team, was there a deposit within you of this is where maybe God's beginning to point me in a certain direction in terms of ministry or in terms of what I'm supposed to do next?
So it kind of happened in November of 21. And I remember it was November because I was still on Pastor James's rotation. Pastor James, he was our young adult pastor at that time.
Right.
It was a midnight oil, and we had been talking about these visions that I had kept seeing of pregnancy and things like that. And I'm a labor and delivery nurse. So I was like, oh, I'm just bringing stuff home from work. I was convinced. And he was like, no, maybe we might need to take this a little bit more seriously. And I was like, well, if you think so, that's fine. And that night we were in the sanctuary, and Pastor Matt had asked us, he was like, I want everybody to come to the front and I'm going to lay my hands on your shoulders. When I lay my hands on your shoulders, the Lord is going to put somebody or some place on your mind. And I want you to pray about that. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. That's easy. We can pray. I'm down. And I remember Pastor James was to my left, and we were the last two on that row. And before anything else had happened, he leaned over and he said, your water's fixing to break. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. And so Pastor laid his hands on my shoulders, and all of a sudden the color red just illuminated like crazy. And I was like, okay, weird, whatever. And I turn and look on this, and it's this brick wall with a red Refuge logo on it. And I was like, does that mean something? And I didn't really understand it.
Right.
Was real confused. And so after a minute, I asked him about it, and he's like, well, yeah, there'll be other campuses at some point. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Just carried it with me. I was like, yeah, that's going to happen. Big whoop. I'm here for it. That following summer, I got really involved with our youth kids, and I was the associate youth director under Sam Clark. And I was just like, oh, I mean, this is great, but if you guys hear anything about this red refuge, let me know. I called it that for forever. I probably drove people up the walls like, you know anything? Do you know anything about Red Refuge? I'd love to tell you about it. Let me tell you what I know. And at one point, it was the end of July, I think. Yeah, end of July. Pastor Micah calls me into his office, and I sat down, and I was like, what do you want? Because at that point, me and Pastor Micah hadn't really had a ton of interactions.
Right.
And he goes, Kaytie, I brought you here for a reason today. And I was like, oh gosh, okay. My heart's pounding. I'm sweating. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, okay, what can I do for you? And he goes, do you want to go see Red Refuge? And I was like, you're lying. Shut up. And he's like, no, I'm so dead serious. And I was like, no, what? The most excited I've probably ever been in front of Pastor Mike. And he was just like, yeah, for real.
That's awesome.
And he got so excited. And so we drove over here and he was like, this is what it is. And I was like, oh, okay. And they just talked me through what the plan was. And that was it. I was on board.
Yep. And you were here for a little over a year in the beginning process of it. So then talk about, and we're about to get you to the other half of your life here in just a second, because I want to definitely tackle into that. But talk about, because I could tell stories of our time together. For instance, water. You immediately right there, Kaytie knows exactly what I'm talking about. We had a few water situations over here, which were absolutely hilarious. She was on the team when we unveiled the sign. She was on the team when we dedicated the building. She was on the team when the building officially launched in the fall of 2023. And it was a great journey for you. But then talk about the process of going from being on my campus team to all of a sudden young adults became the thing. And you and I went back and forth a lot about, because we didn't have a youth group yet. We still technically don't. We have a few about ready teenage kids that are going to need a youth pastor here in about a year or so. But the area that you were burdened for, we didn't have that yet. But at the same time, you're not a quitter. You're not going to get up and just walk away. So something had to pull you to come back. And when you sat down and met with me and said, this is what's happening, I mean, to me, it was a no-brainer. You had to do it. But talk about that, because I know that was a pull on you. And so how did that open up, and what did that create to be the young adults pastor?
So May of 23, I started to feel this like internal war, and I was just miserable all the time. I was just like, I don't understand this. This makes no sense to me, because church is my favorite place. It's one of my core values. I love the church. I love the body as the church. It's something I'm super passionate about. And so when I started to get really apathetic and angry at that, I was like, something is wrong, and I don't understand what it is. And I was confused and frustrated. And I was like, am I just homesick? Like, what is this? Because when you're sent out from the place that you love, you're always just, you think about home. Home is a good place, but home, it's different.
Right.
But for some reason, I just was so burdened, and I was like, I don't understand this. And so I just held out, and I was like, no, I'm not just going to drop this, because if this isn't from the Lord, I don't want the enemy to steal this from anybody else.
Right.
And so I just continued, and I kept. And then at one point, I just remember I had called Pastor Matt, and I was like, I don't understand. We need to have a meeting, because I don't understand some things. He was like, yeah, absolutely. And so after service, we went to Fat City. And
a lot of good things happen at Fat City.
And we're sitting there, and I was like, I have a couple questions, because at this point, Pastor Sam was leaving.
Right.
And I had been asked to be the interim young adult pastor. And I was like, yeah, for sure, anything. Because I'd been on young adult staff for a couple of years.
And you and I had sat down and said, this is a natural bridge that we could easily make this something that could develop into more here at West with the Central Campus. So it was a no-brainer for anything.
And so I was just like, yeah, absolutely. But then I remember I was sitting there, and he's like, okay, this isn't all that you called me in here for. What is it? And I'm like shaking at the table. And, Pastor Eric is in front of me, and Brianna's next to me, and I'm just like shaking. And I'm just like, I don't know how to say this, because I don't want you to think that there's nothing malicious in my heart about this when I tell you this. And he's like, okay. And I said, I think I'm supposed to leave West. And like the whole table just ceased.
Yeah.
Everyone was quiet. And he goes, okay. And I said, okay. And he's like, let me chew on it. Let me pray about it. And then we'll come back to it. I said, okay. And I waited for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
typical Pastor Matt prayer time.
Absolutely. And I'm totally cool with that.
And I'm so thankful he does that.
Yes. And I wasn't like, somebody please tell me what to do. Like, it wasn't anything like that. I was just like, okay, I'm waiting. Waiting is okay. And at that point, you and I had set up a meeting to start planning for 2024.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I called him and I said, okay, I'm at an impasse, because Pastor David wants to plan 2024 and I don't understand 2024 yet. And he said, okay, if one of your people called you with the same thing, what would you tell them? And I just like started crying. I was like, I would tell them they need to leave. And he was like, yeah, it's probably time. I said, okay. I said, well, what do I say? Because I don't want it to sound mean. And I don't, and I had no intentions of hurting anyone at all.
Right.
And he was like, well, from what you've told me, and he really just repeated everything I had already said. And I was like, yeah, you make it make so much sense. And so from there on, he told me, he's like, you just tell him whenever your meeting is. That's okay. That's totally fine. But if he tells you he's planning for this meeting, then you need to tell him before, because don't waste his time too. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so we were at after service here one Sunday. You came up to me, you're like, I have a bunch of things that I've been looking at for 2024. And I just heard it in the back of my head.
Tell him now.
And I was like, oh no. Okay.
Yep.
And so every ounce of anything just drained from me. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I remember I come up to you and I said, I need to talk to you and Jessica privately. And you're like, right now? And I was like, right now. Yep. And it was one of the first Sundays that people had started staying and like wanting to be relational with each other. I was like, this is the worst time for this to happen. And I got to tell you guys, and then I got to transition back within the month. It wasn't, there was no, like nobody was angry. Nobody was mad. It was probably the smoothest transition I've ever experienced.
Absolutely.
But it was good. And then by the time I came back, I'd made some more relationships with new people, and just through different conversations, like, no, I had to come back. Okay, I had to come back. I'm not failing. I'm not failing somebody.
I'm where God wants me to be.
This was the Lord. Shocker. This was the Lord the whole time.
Absolutely.
And so it just changed my perspective on it.
Mm-hmm. Now let's jump into the less easy to talk about area of your life, and that is that you just said you're a labor and delivery nurse.
I am.
And it is always interesting to hear your stories, but even more so, what I love about them is that you learn so much about God's character, and you learn so much about ministry and care and dealing with people in their most vulnerable of seasons through what you do. And it does nothing but help you when it comes to ministry. And especially because young adults are, even though they're in their early 20s, they're entering into the most delicate and sometimes painful season of their life. And so in the process, you're able to kind of let these worlds do this for that season, and you're able to speak to both things. So talk about that. How is working, the job at the hospital, what does God teach you there? And then how does God use that when you interact with young adults?
A lot of times I don't recognize the overlap until I'll be in a conversation. I'm like, oh, this is just like this. Why? Oh, and then all of it just like seatbelt clicks.
Yep.
But until then, it doesn't make sense to me. I get so frustrated sometimes because I'm like, okay, Lord, this job is different. It's a different season, and that's okay. But it's on purpose for sure. There are a lot of things that I don't get to share, but just based on like HIPAA laws and things like that.
Of course.
It's definitely taught me how to love people in a vulnerable state. And it's like you said, young adults are very vulnerable. They just have their whole life flipped upside down. You go from having youth group weekly and having your parents pay everything, and your schedule's already made because you go to school, and you have all of these friends because you're around them 24/7, to you go to a different college than your friends, and you set your own schedule, and guess what? Now you got to work. And then you also have, I'm not with my family, but my family always wants me around. I don't know how to balance this. How do I become my own person?
And I'm in the process of making probably the biggest decisions of my life.
Yeah, because especially in American culture, when you turn 18, they're like, oh, well, you're an adult now. Right. You're grown.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? And I remember being 18 and being like, oh, I know everything. I've got it so figured out. I have nothing figured out. Listen, I have to let the Lord lead it.
I have nothing figured out.
But yeah,
one thing I figured out is I have less hair. That's all I know.
I've followed what the typical American child is supposed to go through. You graduate high school, go straight into college, graduate college, go into the workforce. And I think, especially with the group that we have coming up, we need them to understand that that's not all that life offers.
Right.
That's not all that life is. There's so much more. There's so much more. This, we're going to get you to the workforce and we're going to get you through, and just producing more workers, that it all ties back into multiplying sons and daughters. If you don't have that connection and intimate relationship with other people, and especially through believers, you have no one.
That's right.
And so when you're pumping out all of these different people, they're people. They're not just numbers and names.
Correct.
They're not just workers. You kind of, in a spiritual sense, now looking back, you're like, no, we have to find a way to take care of these people. We have to find a way to make them, vulnerability is great when it's protected.
That's good.
And when it's escorted. But when you're not protecting somebody's vulnerability, all you're doing is exploiting them.
Right.
And that's not fair. And so the way that we have created the society to just exploit these kids is so not cool. And so to build them into the church and bring them back and say, hey, this is a ministry that loves you. This is a ministry that wants something for you. This is a ministry that cares about you. We want you to be able to grow your family, grow yourself, and take root in something that actually matters, other than just working yourself till you're however old to draw your, Social Security check.
Right.
It's different.
When, without going into too much detail, because a lot of these things need to be kept personal, but what are some things that God is showing you right now, especially in terms of becoming that spiritual mother? And granted that you are not much older than a lot of the kids you're leading, but yet they do look at you as their leader, and they do look at you as someone who has been through it and has something to tell us, and has that mantle and that anointing that I need to glean from. And coming from where you come from, multiplying sons and daughters with someone who has seen the natural birthing process more times than anybody needs to see it. Yeah. But at the same time, all that mess, all that pain, all that anxiety, it always produces nothing but beauty and produces nothing but joy. So when you think about that, with the theme this year, what is God right now talking to you about in terms of multiplying from your life?
So to answer that question, I'm going to go through what last year was given, because you have to have the context for the now. I
always love context.
So last year, something was prophesied over me, and I was really frustrated at the time that it got prophesied over me, because everybody was getting these really eloquent things, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear what I got. And this person gets to me and he goes, "You're just daughter. You're just daughter." And that was it. Just that one sentence, super simple. And I was like, God, I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. And to go from that to going through the whole year learning how to be a daughter.
Right.
Because you can't be a mother until you're a daughter.
That's good.
You can't be a father until you're a son.
Amen.
You can't. Until you learn how to submit to that authority of your parent. You just can't. And so something that God is really leading me through this year is teaching our young adults how to be those sons and daughters.
That's good.
What does that look like? Yes, we want to multiply sons and daughters, but we have to understand the role first. You can't multiply something without knowing what it is. If you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're about, how can you multiply it? And especially with a group so vulnerable and so gentle to say what they are and who they are. If they don't know that about themselves, how can they multiply it? So that's the biggest thing for me right now is, okay, you're sons and daughters, you're also brothers and sisters. Let's get you to understand those titles first.
Right.
So that's where we are.
That's really, really good, Kaytie. What are you feeling in terms of the immediate now and future for this generation, who has been called the fatherless generation and the parentless generation?
I've lived as a fatherless generation, and I am so adamant that it will be abolished. It's not going to exist in the next 5 years. It won't. It can't. We can't, as the church, we can't let it exist for the next 5 years. It's not feasible. It's not realistic. It's been a huge disservice to this group, and it's been very hard. But getting angry at it, I mean, yeah, it makes you feel good for a moment, but attacking it at the root of we will not let this happen anymore. We will not rob our kids of fathers anymore. And if that's a physical father or the spiritual father, I mean, we've done both.
Right.
We've done both. I can't offer somebody to be somebody's dad. It's not possible. But I can offer them the spiritual dad. I can offer them the father.
That's good.
And that's what is important in this day and age. That's what needs to happen.
I love that. Is there anything remaining that maybe people would like to know about you or know about in terms of what's on the immediate horizon for the young adults at Refuge, or anything that you foresee that you're dreaming about to what this ministry could become?
I think people just need to be excited. Be excited for young adults. Don't be scared of them, and don't discount them, but be excited for them. That's what I would say.
I agree. Because I think that you do your best to create a culture of excitement, and that we don't have to wait until we get our, bachelor diploma. We don't have to wait until we get our ministry card or whatever. Even before we know what we're going to do, we know we can do something.
Yeah.
And that's a good place to be.
If I know anything, God will meet you in your most vulnerable place.
I agree.
He will meet you there.
I agree. He specializes in vulnerable places.
He really does.
Yeah, absolutely. My best moments with God are always when I'm vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Yes.
100%. Speaking of vulnerable, I'm going to put you on the back foot right now because it's time to play the lightning round.
I'm so ready.
I know you are. Have you been told about this?
No, but I watched it when you did someone else's, and I was like, I can't wait.
Yeah, we go. We'll strap in, everybody. Here we go. Lightning round, 20 questions. Shoot from your hip. Do not think about it. First answer that you think of in 3, 2, 1. Number 1, savory or sweet?
Oh, for breakfast, savory. For dessert, sweet.
Got to pick one if you can only have one.
Sweet.
All right. Number 2, the mountains or the beach?
Oh, beach.
Number 3, the spring or the fall?
Spring.
Number 4, Apple or Microsoft?
I thought you meant the fruit for a second.
Not Apple or Macintosh. Apple or Microsoft?
I guess Apple.
Number 5, dine in or drive through?
Dine in.
Number 6, ice cream goes in a cup or a cone?
I'm going to say a cone. Specifically a waffle cone.
Oh, amen, sister. I love all cones, but waffle cones are special.
Something special about
They're
it.
just special.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Number 7, vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Number 8, toilet paper rolls under or over?
Over.
Thank you. Number 9, you want your coffee iced or hot?
I don't drink coffee.
But if you had to pick. Do you like hot drinks or cold drinks more, typically?
I'd say hot. I don't like ice.
Okay.
Ice really bothers me.
You don't like cold, period. Okay, number 11, summer or winter?
Summer.
Number 12, would you rather read a book or watch a movie?
Movies all day long.
I'm all about a good story.
I love movies.
Yeah, I love movies too. Number 13, listen to music or listen to a podcast?
Music.
Okay. Number 14, sing in the worship team or teach a small group?
Ooh.
Because she does both.
I do both. I'd say the small group, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. Number 15, send a text or make the phone call?
Text.
All right.
Love texting.
16, chicken nuggets or chicken tenders?
Chicken nuggets. Specifically the dinosaurs.
17, strap in, Kaytie. Star Wars or Jurassic Park?
Oh, no. This is the worst.
We've had so many debates about all of these things.
Oh, gosh.
If one went away and you can only save one, which one are you saving? Which universe are you saving?
It is so contrary to popular belief. I'm going to say Jurassic Park.
I know.
You
have passion for it. She drives a Jurassic Park Jeep, ladies and gentlemen.
It's some, I don't know.
You have to. 18, shop in person or online?
In person.
19, do announcements or sing a solo?
Announcements. Oh, it's announcements.
And number 20, what's easier, this podcast or teaching the young adults?
Probably teaching the young adults.
Which is a good sign, because that's your element. That's where you belong. Kaytie, love you, sister.
Love you too.
I'm proud of you. I'm so excited for everything you're doing, everything God's going to do in the future. Our young adults have a bright future because you're leading them.
Listen, they're doing the work. I love them. They're great.
Yeah, just keep being that mother.
Yeah.
Because you're an awesome daughter. Appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you all next time on the next episode of the Refuge Church podcast. Have a good day, everybody.